ski mask, and we have matched it identically to the DNA from the suspect who we now know.
Call a war.
Police estimate so far this year there have been 171 murders on the streets of New Orleans, and they also tell us that is about 20 up from last year. All of this comes about a year and a half into a new administration, but the problems of violent crime persist.
Hey, bro, this right here is part 2 of that app I just ran yesterday. All y'all fanboys in the comments trying to defend Christopher. This ain't personal. This straight up facts. I'm running this year because certain names get protected louder than the truth, you dig? This one here date back to the early 2000s when Hurricane Katrina scattered people from New Orleans cross state lines but didn't erase unsolved business. The beef from the city showed up in Houston with the same intensity. By February 16, 2006, Houston police homicide investigators were looking for 5 suspects from New Orleans connected to 3 murders and 1 home invasion shooting. Crime Stoppers money got pushed in both cities, Houston and New Orleans, hoping somebody would give information. The suspects were believed to be moving between cities, displaced but not disconnected. It's no secret that one of those suspects was from the Calio CP3, uptown New Orleans. Born May 12 of 1982, Jerome Man Hampton came in this world a year after the Calio project name was changed to the B.W. Cooper in May of 1981. Same city, same project, different realities. Drug money, bloodshed, and murder was already circulating through front of town long before Man jumped off the porch. So dig this here. Thalia Courtway was a graveyard in itself. You had to be a gangster growing up in Thalia Court. That wasn't the slogan. That was all facts. Either you built for it or you wasn't. No middle ground, just real life gangster shit. Front of town Thalia Courtway was the biggest and most dangerous courtway in the front of town section of the yo. They say Thalia set the standard for front of town was the reality that boy Man came up in. Christopher Dorsey, BG, that boy not cut from that cloth, not built like that, not about that life. In the streets, he was known as a studio gangster, a flunky allowed around real gangsters because he was useful. His ties come from music, not for whatever he done out here in these streets. An ex-dope fiend who got a long leash because songs turned real killers into verses in real situations in the hooks. That kept him safe in spaces that he would normally never be allowed in. So peep game, Jerome Man Hampton gets seen one way by police and another way by the people who actually knew him. In reports and briefings, his name came up tied to violence, tied to murder, framed as a cold-blooded killer. No extra detail, just a picture built off charges and case numbers. That version don't care about how somebody lived day to day or who they stood next to. At the start, front of town already shaped how Man was raised. The Calio project don't raise no confusion. It let it be known what it is from the giddy up. People from front of already knew what time it was without asking questions. Man friends and family didn't make broad statements. They put addresses on them shits. Who showed up, who stayed silent, who didn't fold when situations got ugly. Fans of Soulja Slim carried that same energy because Slim got it out the mud and never pretended to be something else. If you don't know by now, Man is the cousin of Soulja Slim. That blood tie wasn't a rumor, it was real. Slim was respected, known, and visible in the city. When he got murdered in cold blood in front of his Linda house in 2003, it sent a clear message that didn't need interpretation. Everybody understood what that kind of killing meant and what usually followed it. After Slim's death, Man's name was the ringing even more. His ops spoke carefully. Law enforcement focused on what was coming after. Man ended up being charged with murder in Harris County for the December 28 killing of Stephen Kennedy at 1303 La Concha. Them dicks said Man and SK belonged to separate gangs from New Orleans. You already know how they played though. They want everybody to be part of a gang. The Endo knew the shooting was driven by revenge. That word stayed attached to the case because they closed the loop without needing street explanation. The creative party this year, Freaky off Dream G, put them people on Man, leading to that boy getting arrested for avenging his cousin's death. That narrative right there, it locked in fast.
I told them what happened. Okay. And when you told them what happened, did you tell them who you saw shot Steve? Yes. All right. And who shot Steve? Man. Okay. Do you know what happened to Man? No. Did he go to jail in Texas? I heard he did. Was it good or bad that you made a statement on him? It was bad. Why? Because that's something that we're not supposed to do. What do you mean? At that time, it wasn't something I was supposed to do. All right. What do you mean you're not supposed to do that? At that time, I wasn't supposed to make no statement on nobody.
The streets knew revenge was the motive. It fit the timeline and made the case easier to explain. Them shits didn't stick though, and that boy was right back on the streets like he never left. Say, bruh, in order to understand this mindset, you must first understand that impoverished environment that it's birthed in. The people close to Man didn't describe him as some unstoppable villain. They didn't dress it up either. They knew who he was and who he wasn't. They didn't call him a killer. They didn't call him innocent. They talked about loyalty and family. What happens when certain lines get crossed and nobody steps in to fix it. Jerome Hampton wasn't just some savage monster with a thirst for bloodshed and murder like most of the online posts make him out to be. In these mean grimy streets of the NO is all about survival. It's either kill or be killed. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That's the part that the internet don't get. From internal beef in the project towards outside the projects with different hoods. Man was a one-man army, and the streets knew that. See, the thing is this year, you can't be going around the city popping it like you about to move on the dudes behind them getting killed. Like you about to put the bag up for the business to get handled. Shit like that there is disrespect if you don't follow through. Streets be expecting you to stand on that. Putting it in the song just to clout chase and make you look official is crazy work. That boy Man wasn't having that. First off, you have to understand how serious of a dude Man was. He showed up to the club where the 39ers was at. That right there lets you know that boy wasn't hiding. When you dealing with dudes like that there, you better not be playing no game.
You know who Jerome Hampton was? I didn't know him like that, but I knew he was out of the Calliope. And what have you learned about Jerome Hampton? Did you know he had a nickname? Yeah, I knew he had a nickname, Man. And that Merle said that dude was going to kill him, so he said handle that. But didn't Merle tell you about Man? He told me that the word is that he going to kill him behind Supply 3rd and G, so I got to get him out the way. Had T-Red or Rat ever told you about problems with Man in the past? We was in the club when Man first came home. When did you all see Man in the club? When he first came home. And about what time frame is this? It wasn't too long because he wasn't home long. He had got killed right when, like, not too long before he came home. Do you know what date? A year? I think it's probably between that month. He wasn't home. He wasn't home too long. I say he was home probably at the most a month and a half. And during this time, the 39ers conspiracy was in full force. Yeah, that's when we took over the Sports View. What happened when you all saw Man in the club? Everybody was like, man, that boy Man in the club, and this and that. I said 3rd and G dudes like Rat, AD, T. Darryl, all of them was in the club. I just said them three. What did they say about Man? They were like, he in the club. But I'm like, you know, that boy, we strapped ourselves. That mean that we got guns out there. We ain't tripping about him. What happened that night in the Sports View? I told them we was just going to get him because they kept getting on my nerves behind it. I'm like, man, come on. We going to just sit outside and wait for him. Y'all just, well, we told AD, me, Rat, and Red, I believe, and one more person. I don't really know. I can't say no name. I don't really know. We sitting there outside the club waiting for him to come out. And when he came out, we told AD and them to tell us what car he was going to be in. AD told us the wrong car, and we were about to shoot the car, but it wasn't the right girl. It wasn't the right person. It was a girl in the car.
Soulja Slim and BG built their relationship around music, but the streets never judged it off sound alone. They moved together on tracks. Before anything went left, they had just finished the mixtape. Slim was still active and present, another project in motion. When that mixtape leaked after Slim was gone, it hit the city all at once. That was in the corner where it wasn't bumping. The whips rolled with it on repeat. The city was still mourning and Slim's voice was everywhere, fresh like he never left. That project took the city by storm because it felt felt like unfinished business. It kept Slim alive in real time while everybody was still processing the loss. That's when attention shifted to BG, not from fans, from the streets. Slim's absence created questions, and questions always land on whoever standing closest. BG had a gangster image tied to his name, and now that image was getting tested without him asking for it. The hood wasn't asking about music, the block was asking about action, about riding for Slim, about what was supposed to come next. Pressure started building around that boy BG, not the kind you can ignore. The streets started pressing him about retaliation for that boy Slim. Slim was respected, and people expected something behind that respect. BG felt it. Everybody could see it. Instead of bagging away, he hopped in the booth. Songs started circulating where he bragged about putting up money for a retaliatory hit for Slim. To the streets, that wasn't gangster at all. That was crazy work. Bragging about money being put up and nothing happening behind it don't earn you points in the streets. It erases them. In that world, if you say it, somebody expects it to be done. When nothing moved, the talk got louder. The streets started saying BG wasn't cut from that cloth, not built like that. Wasn't really about that gangster shit. While BG was talking on record, Man stayed on the streets. Slim's cousin, somebody already known for standing on family business. When Man finally caught up to one of the shooters and handled that business, everything changed. That was real action right there. No studio, no microphone, no rap lyrics, just a nigga getting murked in the streets. That right there made BG's lyrics come back into focus in a bad way. Now the conversation wasn't about whether retaliation happened, it was about who did it and who didn't. People started saying that BG really put up money like he claimed, then payment was owed. Not as a favor either, as standing on your word. Man was looking for that payment because that's how it go when someone else do what you said you was gonna do. When Man eventually caught up with BG, it wasn't a discussion, it wasn't a music talk, it was straight pressure. Word on the street was BG was scared to death, shaking in his boots, trying to act like it was loaded full of that dope, ducking every time he saw that boy Man. That word traveled fast because it lined up with everything people already suspected. Man didn't stop at asking questions. He patted down that boy BG's pockets. All facts. That's some disrespectful shit. You want to do that there to someone you see as a coward. That moment stripped BG's image down to nothing. Years of raps couldn't stand up to a single real life situation. Being searched like that there in front of other dudes erased whatever gangster persona that boy had left. The streets don't forget moments like that there. They catalog them shits. After that, the relationship between Slim and BG got looked at differently. Slim's name stayed silent because his reputation didn't come from music alone. BG's name took damage because his music was all he had to stand on. The mixtape was still bumping through the city though, but now people listen to it with new ears. Same songs, different meaning. Nobody needed statements or explanations. The streets already drew their conclusions. BG kept making music. Slim's legacy stayed untouched. Man's name stayed tied to action, not talk. And the tension around that situation never fully disappeared. It just stayed in the background, unresolved, waiting for the next piece to drop.